let's start off with that then. There's
Is
a
it
lot
true?
of misconceptions out there about if this can really be done. So can it?
I get flack on my social media comments all the time with people saying, you can't tell people that. That's not possible to make. And I'm like, how can you say my life isn't possible? How can you say this chef, that chef, this? I mean, there's so
Right.
many. What's up, folks? Chef Lisa Brooks here on The Feast today with my friend Cynthia Cornegay in the building.
Yeah.
And we are talking about what is all this hype about six-figure personal chef? Can you really make six figures as a personal chef? That's the question that people ask me all the time.
Yeah.
We're going to get to it today.
Well, let's start off with that then. There's
Is
a
it
lot
true?
of misconceptions out there about if this can really be done. So can it?
It can easily be done.
Okay.
And I get flack on my social media comments all the time with people saying, you can't tell people that. That's not possible to make. And I'm like, how can you say my life isn't possible? How can you say this chef, that chef, this? I mean, there's so
Right.
many that are doing it. Like we're doing it. And so, yeah, it's absolutely a reality. And I mean, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go even a step further and say, honestly, like this six-figure mark is something that we kind of, we just like six figures, kind of like that milestone. Like, you try to get to is like this milestone, and then like, of course, $1 million, like, right? But, six figures isn't as much money as it used to be, right? Anyway. But six figures is just $8,333 a month, $1,918 a week, $274 a day. So when you think about it that way, it's not, I'm sure it's somebody standing down there in the corner right now that probably bring in about $200 a day with a cardboard sign begging. You know what I mean? So, if you just think about $1,900 a week, it's like, that's a smaller goal that you can probably wrap your head around. But yeah, that's one dinner party. So it's absolutely doable.
Okay. So I'm thinking about, you're talking about the folks will be in your comments and saying, oh, you can't tell people this can't be. So that brings up the question then. So what is the mindset? What's the mindset shift that you have to have in order to reach that goal, to reach those six figures?
Got it. Well, you have to be value minded, right? Like you have to see value in things. Like you have to believe that you are worth a certain amount. Like if you're a cheap minded consumer, you will attract cheap-minded buyers. Does that make sense? You're not willing to invest. You don't think other people are willing to invest, and you draw that same person back to you, right? So if your mindset, if you're a bargain shopper, if you have a bargain shopper mindset, you'll attract bargain shoppers, right? But you know what I'm saying? So it's like your ability to see value in investing in something. It really is an energy that brings to you people who are willing to see the value and invest in something. So it can't be, someone with a really, with a mindset of things are just too expensive and I can't afford that. And someone who speaks like that, it'd be very difficult for them to go into or create or build a six-figure business with that mindset.
So what are the steps that you would use to help someone transition into that mindset of just from thinking, having that mindset of, thriftiness or whatever it is, or thinking I can't, not having enough value. How do you get that person to transition their mind to moving towards that, of seeing their own value? And then once they do, also going from being a chef to also understanding that you are a business owner?
Yes, yes. Um, Honestly, my entire program is about making that transformation
Mm-hmm.
from a chef or cook into a business owner. The 8 steps or 8 phases I take people through are they're in that order for a reason, to get
Mm-hmm.
people thinking this way. I show them the numbers, I show them the math, I show the videos, I show the proof, I show behind the scenes with me, and we talk about the language we use. We talk about um, the fact that we need to change the way that we are presenting the service, and the way you're and the way you're packaging it up.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I come to you and say, "Hey, would you like a meal? Would you like a meal or a dinner? It's $125."
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be like, I'm gonna pay
Mm-hmm.
$125 for a meal or a
Mm-hmm.
dinner. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I can come set up a buffet. It's gonna be, you know,
Mm-hmm.
$95 a person, $95 a person for a
Mm-hmm.
buffet. Or I'd love to come to your I'd love to help you celebrate um, your wife's special moment with an amazing, breathtaking, displayed event, a
Mm-hmm.
displayed dinner party
Mm-hmm.
in your home. That sounds a little bit different, doesn't
Yeah,
it? That
it
sounds a little
does.
more like it's maybe a little bit more valuable. I'll
Mm-hmm.
just change my wording.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So um, I would love to create an amazing 5 course dining experience
Mm-hmm.
where you can be a guest in your own home.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds very different than a meal or a dinner,
Right.
doesn't it? So I teach, like we in my community, and the chef nieces, anybody who's ever been under the sound of my voice and under my tutelage, mentorship,
Mm-hmm.
or coaching, we have this shared language,
Okay.
because I want it to become standard in our industry that this
Mm.
is how we speak. We don't say these things. We don't say this, say that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that starts that mindset shift. And when you see that you're able to take this normal thing that seems commonplace in your life, your world, whatever, and you're able to transform it by just what it's called and
Mm-hmm.
the way you present it. Like, you just transformed this thing. And so it's like, oh, and then it's like an aha, that's wow, okay, this now has more value. Hey, have you ever wondered what type of personal chef business is actually the best fit for you? Like, should you be doing private dinner parties, meal prepping, or vacation gigs? Look, I got you. I created a free quiz that will tell you exactly which business model makes the most sense for your lifestyle, your strengths, and your goals. And it takes just 2 minutes to complete. At the end, you'll get a personalized roadmap that'll show you how to earn more while working less and the exact steps you need to get started. Don't waste time guessing. Hit the link in the description, take the quiz, and start building the personal chef business that's right for you.
Just thinking again about the mindset and how important it is, and the steps that it can take to get there, um, and how important it is to be able to see that in front of you, which is something that you offer. You're
Yeah.
living that life, so
Yes.
you are proof that it can be done.
Yeah.
So, at what point did you reach that in your career?
Mhm.
Did you reach that milestone of 6 figures?
Wow. I reached 6 figures my first full year in business.
Oh wow! Wait! Your first full year or 4 years?
My first full year in business.
Wow!
I walked away from that
Excuse me.
6 figure.
Hold on a second. Did y'all hear that? She said her first full year in business, not 4 years down the line. None of that. Her first full year in business, she reached 6 figures. So it can be done. Okay.
um, yeah. So I started my business in 2010
Mm-hmm.
and May of 2010. Um, before I ever entered culinary school. I entered culinary school in August, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in 2010, I made $55,000 as a personal chef.
Mm-hmm.
So just in those few months from
Uh-huh.
basically June through the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So then my first full year was 2011, and I did about $110,000, which was more than that 6 figure salary I left in corporate America.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So we're not talking about something I had to build up. I mean, my business is a $500,000 a year business now. We make over $500,000 a year now. So to get to 6 figures,
Mm-hmm.
it's not even about, like, it's multiple 6 figures now.
Mm-hmm.
is the goal. it's multiple six figures is really the goal of having hit that first milestone. Um, but to say that, especially in a place where you're not making that in a job, you're not making
Mhm.
that in a restaurant, you're not making that in a line, you may not be making that in take home profit if you're a caterer or so
Mhm.
to say that, I mean, it is a significant milestone. But I
Mhm.
just want to even reiterate, it's not like, oh, we just barely getting there.
Right.
No,
Mhm.
you can go well above
Mhm.
um, six figures.
So what are some of the key factors uh that actually got you there? That that you had, those key steps that you can think about that put you on that trajectory and got you to that point.
um, my pricing
Mhm.
and the way that I've priced myself, the way I've priced my services from the beginning has
Mhm.
always been, uh, I intended to be the best,
Mhm.
made a decision to be the best,
Mhm.
and then went out, executed in excellence.
Mhm.
So then my prices reflected that from the beginning.
Mhm.
Um, I never, like, I based my pricing on the fact that my desire was to make six figures.
Mm.
Right?
Okay.
Like, I knew that's what I wanted to make because that's what
Mhm.
I walked away from corporate
Mhm.
America.
Mhm.
And so a lot of times people think when you're gonna go into a different direction, when you're gonna pivot into a new direction, the thing that's your purpose, you're leaving behind everything you've done and everything you've achieved so far, but it's not really true. You're taking everything you have, all your experience and skills, um, and you're just redirecting them into a different path. So you're not starting over at square one. So I had already worked my way up in a career for 18 years, even though it was a
Mhm.
completely different industry.
Mhm.
I'd worked my way up in this career as a
Mhm.
single black mom, making six figures. And I was like, you know, that's where I was. I worked my way
Mhm.
up to that point. And so for me to pivot into doing cooking as a living didn't mean I needed to go back down to start at the beginning. I want
Right.
to pivot right here where I am.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And then keep building up to higher income.
Mhm.
Um, so granted, that's mindset in and of itself.
Mhm.
Um, but then, you know, honestly, it's math
Uh-huh.
too,
Mhm.
right? If like knowing, okay, I need to make $1,900 a week, right,
Mhm.
for this to be the
Mhm.
case. How many at that point? I was doing meal prep when I
Uh-huh.
started.
Mhm.
How many families can I take in a week to make up to $1,900 in a
Mm.
week? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, and then when the dinner parties come in outside of that, you need maybe a couple families, in the week, maybe two or three, you're already halfway there, right?
Mhm.
Then one dinner party, one dinner for two, you there. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
And so from there, it's like you just keep doing the math. It's kind of like, like I know, well, we used to call them beauticians back in the day, but I guess they're hairstylists, right? Hairstylists or barbers, like they measure thing in heads,
Uh-huh.
right? Like if I want a new pair of shoes,
Right.
how many heads I gotta cut
Mhm.
to get
Mhm.
to that thing.
Mhm.
So it's really kind of the same mindset of, well, how many of these do I need
Mhm.
in a week to be able to make my goal?
Mhm.
And then I often find, and this is a faith based. My whole journey is faith based
Mhm.
completely. You will hear me say God a million times
Mhm.
because it's a God story. It's He walked me through this
Indeed.
and
Indeed.
guided me the
Right.
entire time. Um, but I honestly believe when you say that thing, when you
Mhm.
say it out in the universe, when you say and you speak it out loud, this is what I want, this is what I
Mhm.
need, this is my goal,
Mhm.
and you say it, you believe it, and your actions
Right.
you start to move towards it in your
Mhm.
own power and strength.
Mhm.
I feel like God just starts rearranging the entire universe to put that golden brick road
Mhm.
under your feet,
Mhm.
right? I remember the first time we did $50,000 in a year, and I'm sorry, in a month, and it was like we had never broken 30,000 in a month, right? As a revenue for my personal chef service.
Mhm. I think I
And
remember that.
so the first time we did it, it's like I just decided, and I told
Mhm.
my team, I told my admin person and my other like lead chef, and I was like, "Yo, like let's do $50,000."
Mhm.
Like it was like August. I don't remember what year it was. I
Mhm.
think it was like 2020. I think it was
Mhm.
2020.
Mhm.
I'm in 2021, maybe.
Mhm.
No, it was 2020. I was like we let's just do 50,000. We
Mhm.
never have done like
Mhm.
over 30. So like 30 something. And so every day we would check in and we like, how close are we? What do we got to do to get there? We need this much more to get there. And we just set it out there. And like, and it was the last couple days of that month. It was August. I'll never forget. And it was just like we were having these text messages. Well, can we close this job? Can we close that job? What about that person? Did you get back to that client? Are they going to book? Can we get a deposit in? We were just kind of, it was like we put energy behind it, and we made it. We made 50,000 a month. We were going crazy. Like, this is nuts. We did 50K in a month. And then September, we did 60K. Wow. And then October, we did 50 something. It was just like, once we believed that was it became the new normal.
It's kind of like when you're exercising, when you start out exercising, or and one of the simplest examples is when you're doing your steps, right? And you remember the old pedometers that they used to have that you attached to you and all that. And the thing is, you will set your goal to let's say in the beginning maybe 3,000 steps. Although they're telling you need to get 10,000 a day, you're like, well, I'm just gonna do this 3. But and the thing is, when you change your mindset, if you set it at 3, you're going for that 3.
You're doing 3.
But when you change your mindset and change the goal, it will shift something in you.
Yes.
Because I hear you with the mindset, with the energy,
yep,
with faith, with intention, and then the value of knowing what it is you're offering and that it is of this value, right? So you're pushing that out there. So with that being said, are there any particular marketing strategies that you had to have in order to get to that? And did you were you singling in on I know you have a specific demographic, but did you even go beyond that? Did you level up, so to speak, to say, okay, this is what we need to do to get to this, and then go, boom, let's do it?
Yeah. So identifying who your ideal client is and who your target market is literally one of the first things. It's like phase 2 in my program, my coaching is really identifying who is it that this service, the solution that you have, who is it a perfect fit for? Whose problem are you uniquely qualified to solve with what you're doing? Who is it that you want to serve? Whose problem do you want to be able to solve what you're doing? I want people who have money who wouldn't think twice about dropping, $5,000-$6,000 on a day. That's the type of person I want. So then I need to know, how do they think? What do they need? What's their pain points? What keeps them up at night? What is it? What is it that they need? And what, as far from a status level standpoint, what words do they use? What language do they use? How do they communicate? Where are they? Where do they shop? Where do they seek services online? How do they search for professionals? Like, I need to know all of that, right? Because I can tell you right now, wealthy clients are not searching for professionals to hire on Instagram and TikTok. Right? So, the thought that I need a social media, I gotta have social media is how you're gonna get these clients. I mean, not local clients in your area, not wealthy local, like probably not, right? And so having an amazing website was my first I guess, marketing strategy. And I built that website myself, and I built it as soon as I got in business, like immediately. I went on Vistaprint, honey, and built that website. They didn't have hardly no great, not the tools, of course, that exist today, right? But I mean, I'd been a graphic designer in my previous, like in my 20s. I spent the first 8-10 years of my life as a graphic designer because God has prepared me my whole life for this journey, for where I am. He gave me all these little skills throughout my life. And so I was able to put that website up myself, just plug and play with Vistaprint. But I made sure that it spoke the language of the client, that had a look and feel that looked elegant. It looked rich. It looked elegant, right? And that my menu sounded elegant, sounded, and that I had my smiling face on the front so they could see me. They could, my smile could come through. There were intentional things I did from the beginning. I mean, just to package myself up, to present myself as this solution that you need. You need the solution. I mean, all marketing is creating the desire for the thing you're offering.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Like, I'm just driving around minding my business. I see that big bow biscuit on the
Right.
doggone billboard. Ain't
Right.
nobody thought about no bow biscuit.
Mhm.
Now
Mhm.
I gotta U-turn and go back to Bojangles
Mhm.
and get fried
Right.
biscuit.
Right.
Why? Because they created the desire
Mhm.
for it. Because they
Like
showed it
Popeyes
to
and their
me.
chicken sandwich.
Right.
It's
I mean, all of it. All of it.
mhm.
You ain't thinking
Mhm.
about it.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden it's like, I really want that now.
Mhm.
That's what marketing is. So when you package yourself up and you put your service and your product out there and it's packaged up beautifully for your ideal client and it's speaking their language,
Mhm.
then they're gonna say, wow, like what first of all, it catch their attention. Then when they look and they read and they see everything, it's speaking to them. It's like,
Mhm.
wow, this is made for me. That's
Mhm.
how it should feel.
Mhm.
It's a no-brainer. I'm gonna definitely call. But then now we have to do the work to make sure that the experience they actually have with you matches the package you promised.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
makes sense?
Mhm.
Well, we have to
Mhm.
deliver on that 11-star experience,
Mhm.
is what I call it.
Yeah.
I don't call it a 5-star.
Yeah.
It's the highest Google will go on reviews. But we want to provide, we want to give people a very high expectation. We want them to go, wow, this is going to be amazing. But even when we get there and we actually execute the thing, we still want to blow their minds.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like wow, like
Mhm.
we thought we were getting something amazing, but this
Mhm.
was like nuts.
Mhm.
I mean, that's kind of how this is how you bait and hook
Mhm.
the ideal client you want. You
Mhm.
first of all have to know what kind of fish is it you're trying to catch, because I can't catch lake trout in the
Mhm.
ocean, right? You know what I mean?
Right. Uh-huh.
So I gotta know where to cast my line.
Mhm.
I have to know what bait to put on the hook,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
So it's like you have to do that work.
Mhm.
You cannot be everything to everybody. You'll catch nothing.
Right.
You dilute
Mm.
your focus and
Mhm.
you're speaking to no one
Mhm.
if you try to speak to everyone. So being dialed in on who this is, and I'm gonna tell you, for 6-figure business,
Mhm.
you really need to be focused on high end clients.
Mhm.
Or otherwise you're working yourself to death to get to 6 figures, and we don't want
Mhm.
to do that.
Yeah.
We want that 6 figure to come easy. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
So I'd rather work one event a week, 4 events a month, and make my 6 figures.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't want to do 10, $10,000 jobs,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
I want to do one $10,000 job,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So that's what that comes with the money will follow the high end service. The money follows the mindset. Hey, if you're on this journey to turn your passion for cooking into a real business, you don't have to do it alone. You need to join the Chefanista Collective. This is the place where you get the support that you need to accomplish the dream that you have. There are live masterclasses that take place, tons of resources in there, but the most important thing is you get to meet other chefs on the same journey, and we're in there celebrating our wins. All that's missing is you. This is your community, this is your tribe, and it's your time. So I'm offering you a 14-day free trial so you can hop in and see for yourself, because this is something that really can't be explained. It has to be experienced. This is the way you get this done faster, stronger, and better, because we do it together. So click the link in the description below to join the Chefanista Collective completely risk-free.
Couple of things I'm thinking about, and one of the things is what you're saying about the mindset, and you talking about your journey, so to speak,
Yeah.
and the graphic design thing, and the importance of understanding your journey and where you are, and having those moments to sit and think when things happen that the preparation has already been set.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So you there are things that are going to happen in your life that you're going to be prepared for, and you have no clue in that moment as to why certain things happen.
Yes.
But so to sit in a place when it does, when you get to that understanding of having the gratitude,
Yes.
to know and just say, well, thank you, Lord, because I was able to do this because I did this at this specific time. Yeah. So I knew how to do these things. Yeah. But I was thinking as well about the mindset and the shifting, and how important is it for people to truly understand um, that these things don't happen overnight. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so to know that when you get into it, so I guess I'm trying to think how I wanted to say this question. Um, and this is not what I wanted to ask you. Maybe to come back to me in a minute. I'm a little old, y'all, so sometimes things slip my mind. But
the train derails
right,
that
right,
at a certain point.
because you hear something and you're like, oh wow, that's good right there,
Uh-huh.
and
Uh-huh.
so. But anyway, back to this. So, are there specific things as far as uh specialization versus versatility?
Uh-huh.
Is one more important than the other?
Um, wow. That is a great question. And my initial instinct is to say that specialization is better. I mean,
Okay.
like better. Like what does that even mean?
Mm-hmm.
But because the riches are in the niches, right? Like that's what
Mm-hmm.
people say. Like if you when you really like get down to like being the only one who can do this specific thing,
Mm-hmm.
you're it's more valuable.
Mm-hmm.
You can
Mm-hmm.
charge more for it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so although I appreciate versatility,
Uh-huh.
right? Being able to adapt. You just don't want to be so adaptable that you lose who you are,
Right.
right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I really do feel that my secret sauce
Mm-hmm.
and the secret sauce of every single chef that I coach
Mm-hmm.
is them.
Mm.
It's you.
Uh-huh.
You're the product at the end of the day, right?
Mm.
You are the product. Because no one else, I don't care about competition. I
Uh-huh.
don't care about competitors. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care about competitors' pride. No one else can provide what I provide
Right.
because it is me through 5 courses that I'm presenting
Mm-hmm.
to you. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have my grandmother's story. You
Right.
don't have my great grandmother's story. You don't have our ice cream recipe or
Mm-hmm.
our sour cream pound cake that I have taken and upscaled it
Mm-hmm.
you don't have these life stories to tell behind it or the trip I took to this place and learned this little sauce or this soup or this thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is my life and my experiences I'm telling a story of, so it cannot be duplicated.
Right.
It simply cannot,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's no need for me to try to be all things to all people. I just
Mm-hmm.
need to be me,
Mm-hmm.
and being uniquely me, and
Mm-hmm.
find the people who that attract
Right.
who that attracts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Who is attracted to me as I am,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Naturally. So, um, granted, I talk about repackaging yourself and
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
making it like upscale because I
Mm-hmm.
want to serve upscale clients. I want to move in mansions and party in palaces, right? Like that's what I
Right.
want to do. And
Mm-hmm.
so, but I'm still absolutely uniquely and genuinely me.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like when I go into these places and these homes, and I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I'm almost connecting or bridging like cultures in a sense, not to be too like spooky deep about it or
Mm-hmm.
anything, but it's just real. Like, um, I'm telling stories and preserving legacy of my heritage, my matriarchal heritage, how I grew up and these things. And I'm telling stories about things that maybe the guests at the table have never heard of or seen, but now we have a connection.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're connecting over. I'm learning something. You're learning something from me. It's an exchange.
Mm-hmm.
It's just humanity at the end of the day. And so it's important to have those types of interactions to be able to be authentically who you are, because now this person or these people get to experience you, and there's no way if they haven't met you before they've ever experienced that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's I almost want to say circle back to so a lot of times the question is always about pricing.
Mm.
And and again, of course I don't do this, but what I'm thinking is that there's a certain fear
Uh,
around, and I guess it comes back to value of people not of chefs not wanting to, thinking that they're going to price themselves out of competition,
mm,
right?
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
they are afraid to go this high because they feel like then they're not competitive
uh-huh, uh,
anymore, because if because people will go a drive across town and say 2 cents on gas,
uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so how
But that's because you can compare this gas over here is no better. They're the same thing.
Right.
I
Mm-hmm.
can when you're offering a commodity, you must compete on price.
Mm.
We're not offering a commodity.
Mm.
We are not offering food. I don't have to compete with somebody else's offering of food, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
Say that
don't.
again. Say that
I
again.
don't offer food.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to compete with anybody else's offering. If you're offering food, if what you're selling is food, then people have plenty of options for food. Okay, I can go here and here and here, and I can do this and this and this. There's so many options,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But the experience that I've created
Mm-hmm.
and that I'm offering, you can't get that anywhere else. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to compete on price
Mm-hmm.
at all. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course, somebody drive across town to save 2 cents on gas, like real talk.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is so real, but it's like it's gas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's gas.
Yeah.
So I am going to look for the cheapest
Mm-hmm.
because it doesn't matter.
So then it's important to focus on the crafting, as you like to say, of the experience more so than the pricing of it. Well, I know
Well,
both is
they go
important,
hand
but
in hand, but I
yeah.
think the important distinction we're making here
Mm-hmm.
is I do not give a flip what my competitors are doing.
Right.
I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can look around and be like, I don't even see it as competitive. Like I look to other people for inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
I look to other people to see if they're amazing, and I can refer people to them when I'm
Mm-hmm.
overbooked or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. But I celebrate other chefs in the area, like
Mm-hmm.
doing cool things. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? I love that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like collaboration and celebration over competition. But just speaking in terms of just business, and you do have competitors,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a market that you're in. I'd have made a decision to be the best,
Mm-hmm.
to offer the most,
Mm-hmm.
to over deliver
Mm-hmm.
every time, blow people's minds,
Mm-hmm.
and do everything that I do is to that end.
Mm-hmm.
So if you aren't going to be the cheapest person in town, therefore attracting people on price,
Mm-hmm.
then there's no strategic advantage to you being the second cheapest or the
Mm-hmm.
third cheapest. You have no
Mm-hmm.
strategic advantage now,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you
Mm-hmm.
may as well go ahead and be the best and go
Mm-hmm.
ahead and be the most expensive, because there are people who go straight to the top.
Mm-hmm.
This must be the best because it's the most expensive.
Uh-huh.
There are people who
Mm-hmm.
think like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we put our limiting beliefs of what we're willing to pay and
Mm-hmm.
spend on other people,
Uh-huh.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And not realizing it's just all relative,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like right now, you might have enough money in your bank account to say $10. That's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
There's some people who'd be like, "Oh my God, what I would give to just have an extra 10 right now,"
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's people who are like 10,000. That's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like maybe we can't fathom that,
Right.
but that is the case,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and those are the type of clients that are going to, and I don't mean celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean singers,
Mm-hmm.
actresses, athletes.
Mm-hmm.
That is not what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Could they be my clients? Yes, if they call my phone and they, ask for my
Mhm.
service and they pay the invoice. But I'm
Mhm.
not seeking out people with. I mean, I attract people who want an amazing experience,
Mhm.
and so if you make your ideal client, well, I want to cook for a celebrity, I want to cook for an athlete, something like that.
Mhm.
Well, how many athletes are there in your city or your town?
Right.
How many A-list actors are in your city or
Mhm.
town? Like, it'd be more advantageous for you to go after the
Mhm.
thousands of people in your town who make over
Mhm.
200K a year,
Mhm.
whatever the case may be,
Mhm.
whatever
Mhm.
your demographic needs to be. So I'm not talking about cooking for celebrities or stuff like that. I just mean high-end clients who value, an amazing, unique service, and they're accustomed to that. They're accustomed to taking vacations. They're accustomed to flying first class. They're accustomed to the best lounges in the airport, the best hotels, restaurants, country clubs, resorts,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
so we're gonna bring that same level of service,
Mhm.
a better food experience, honestly, because we got the season and the flavor, and we're
Mhm.
gonna present it in this amazing manner. And so it's just a win-win-win situation. You are watching this because you know there has to be more. You're tired of cooking your heart out without seeing it in your bank account. Maybe you're thinking you need a culinary degree, or that you'll have to work 80-hour weeks in a restaurant first. I'm here to tell you that that's simply not true. I was just like you, stuck in a corporate job, At 40 years old, dreaming of turning my passion for cooking into something more. Now I run a $500,000 a year personal chef business, and I've been featured in Forbes magazine and Ebony and even on the Food Network. But here's what really matters most. I've helped hundreds of other passionate cooks just like you do the same thing. No culinary degree required, no crazy hours, just a proven system that works. That's why I created the 5-step personal chef kickstart strategy. This guide breaks down exactly how to build a business that gives you freedom, create experiences clients can't resist, craft an irresistible online presence, land your first high-paying clients, and start making money doing what you love. No fluff, no theory, just the exact steps I use to build my business and that my students are using right now to build theirs. Click the link in the description below to get the 5-step personal chef kickstart strategy. Do not let another day go by wondering what if. Your future as a successful personal chef starts right now.
So I heard you say that uh, you have referred services to
Other chefs.
other chefs. So how important is that to have the ability to say no? When someone is asking,
Woo.
to not overbook yourself. And how long did it take you to learn that?
It took me a while. Not gonna
Okay.
lie, it took a
Mm-hmm.
while, and it takes people a while because when you first start out, you are operating largely out of fear and out
Mm-hmm.
of a scarcity mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I had faith to make the jump, but you're asked. Faith is not like a one time thing. Like I did it,
No.
I exercised faith.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
No,
No.
it's
Mm-mm.
like every single day
Mm-hmm.
you have to continue to exercise faith. Like
Mm-hmm.
wow, okay, I really like I have to believe you for this and believe you for the next thing and the
Mm-hmm.
next thing, and I have to believe it's gonna work at every step of the way. And so, you're like everything's going well, money's
Mm-hmm.
coming in, what have you, but you kind of have this fear in the back of your head, like, what if the phone stops ringing? Like
Mm-hmm.
we all kind of have like, what if
Mm-hmm.
the phone stops ringing? What if the email stops coming in? Like what like it took me a while to just get to a point where it's like, girl, you've built it. Like you've
Mm-hmm.
built it. You've
Mm-hmm.
built it well. The people are gonna come, right? Um, but early on,
Mm-hmm.
I would take anything.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm trying to keep folks from doing right now. Like
Uh-huh.
I'm like, don't do that. Do not don't say yes to everything. Like you
Mm-hmm.
just can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
One, you just dilute your focus. You dilute your brand
Mm-hmm.
by doing that. Um, you're spending time on the wrong thing
Mm-hmm.
when you're doing that. If you book some little just BS job that's not really in your wheelhouse,
Mm-hmm.
because you know what? Okay, well, okay, they're gonna pay me $2,000. Yeah, I'm gonna go make a few pans of mac and cheese and some baked beans and some flan. I'm gonna take it over here as 100 people, even though I'm not a caterer, but I'm gonna do it because I mean, shoot, that's $2,000. I'm gonna go do that, whatever. Okay, so it's not in your wheelhouse. It's not what you specialize in. It's not the menu you create. It's not the thing you're great at. It's not the process you've got down pat. And so you step outside of it and you try to do this thing for this person real quick,
Mm-hmm.
and then you end up with a 3-star review because you didn't even execute it. You because it's not your thing.
Mm-hmm.
So now you watering down your
Right.
reviews because you couldn't deliver an 11-star experience
Mm-hmm.
because this ain't your wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's like it can bite you in the behind
Mm-hmm.
when you say yes to things you shouldn't say yes to.
Yeah.
So you just have to be willing to focus, stay in the lane, trust that what you trust once you've done the work,
Mm-hmm.
trust in the work you've done,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Once you've done the work.
Yeah. What type of investments have you had to make in your business, and what has been the biggest payoff?
Mm, that is a loaded question. I've made investments all along the way, from investing in my first little tiny investment at a little cheap website, right? That
Mm-hmm.
was an investment though.
Mm-hmm.
Getting business cards and doing, I mean, I designed my logo myself too, so I can't
Mm-hmm.
really say that. But then the first time I hired a web designer, first time I hired a professional photographer, we
Mm-hmm.
talking about thousands of dollars, like. But those photographs, when you look at our website,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you're gonna book. You see
Mm-hmm.
the photos. You know what I mean? Investing in videographer, investing in marketing, investing in PR. Like there's been things over the years,
Mm-hmm.
just as as we've grown and started to do more things, and
Mhm.
when we did that tour, the Joy of the Feast tour, and decided to take the team, on the road. It happened to
Mhm.
happen around COVID, so I had little hiccups there. But we did 4 or 5 stops on the tour. But
Mhm.
I mean, hiring like people to market that, like there's investments that I've made, just in the business itself,
Mhm.
that totally paid off. There's investments I've made in in trying to do catering, and trying to
Mhm.
also do large scale meal prep, and that whole
Yeah.
watering down process that
Mhm.
cost me
Mhm.
money, right?
Mhm.
um so I mean, I believe strongly invest in myself in every single way, like of my
Mhm.
life, in 360. um but I would say the most rewarding, because that's what you asked me, with
Mhm.
the biggest payoff, the most rewarding, um the most return on investment, um has been my investment in people, in my staff,
Mhm.
in the ability to train and trust people with my baby
Mhm.
that I built, right? I would never have been able to grow over a certain amount. First of all, I would have always been in the cycle of still trading my time for money at the end of the day,
Mhm.
right? Um, but second of all, we can serve more people, we can serve more
Mhm.
families, we can do more parties, we can do more events, we can give the heart and soul experience to more clients, so we can serve more
Mhm.
people. But then also, these folks, these chefs, these women who work with heart and soul as chefs or servers or admin, whatever the case may be, we built a team. So they're feeding their families, and they're
Mhm.
now moving in mansions and partying in palaces, and like their lives have changed, and so they are now culture bearers of my company and my brand,
Mhm.
which is like wow, like they have attached themselves to
Mhm.
my brand. They fiercely protect it, and they go out and represent it every day,
Mhm.
like with excellence.
Mhm.
5-star reviews just still rolling in,
Mhm.
with me being able to step back
Mhm.
and simply coach,
Mhm.
and kind of live truly in the role of a CEO. So the best investment I made is in investing my trust in other people
Mhm.
and training them, and uh, to help scale my business.
I'm glad you went into that particular thing about that, because I was thinking as I was listening to you talk how you always speak in terms of we, our, us, and it's not just me.
Mm.
It's not just wow, this is your company, you are the face of the company. Um, how and you just spoke on how important that is, um, with your team and choosing them, but to create that atmosphere of family almost.
Yeah.
And is there a process that you go through when choosing your staff? As far as because we all want people to be loyal to us, and people that we can trust that are gonna be there. And like you said, you could send what I used to call my staff were my disciples,
Yeah.
because you teach them, you give them your DNA, and then you send them out there
Mm-hmm.
to put your imprint, Chef Elisa's
Yes,
imprint on whatever it is that they do.
that's right.
So, and I remember also one of the experiences that I went to one of your dinners, and something that really stood out also was that it was never just wow, you created an experience for us. It wasn't just about you, right? It wasn't just about you. It wasn't just about the recipes from your grandmother, your mother, but you gave each chef the opportunity to tell their story. And when you have someone that you work for, work with, or however you want to, what terminology you want to use, but when you have someone that is truly investing that in you,
Yeah.
that is something that I think people really don't think about, and in some ways take for granted. They don't think about the fact that okay, you work for me, I've hired you, but am I investing in you?
Mm-hmm.
Because that is what is going to grow
Mm-hmm.
the business, but grow, because if I grow you as a person,
Yes.
it's going to grow my business as well. Because when
Yes.
you become a better person, my business becomes better, because you are now walking in my path, so to speak. But it's
Yes.
still your journey,
Yes.
but it's still we're connected in that. So
Yes.
even if you go out, your DNA goes out
Yes.
throughout wherever, when they move on and they level up or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, go
Mm-hmm.
to create their own business,
Mm-hmm.
you're still there,
Those are the
right.
seeds I've sown.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah,
seeds I've sown
absolutely. Absolutely.
and that's how I see it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how anyone that comes into our world at Heart and Soul,
Mm-hmm.
it's like this is not a prison here.
Right.
Like we don't you're here and you work here and you show up for
Mm-hmm.
events here because you want to.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And I will help. I've every single woman that's ever worked as a chef in my business, I've helped
Mm-hmm.
create their website, build their own business, get their own,
Mm-hmm.
like it's like help them
Mm-hmm.
like leave the nest and
Uh-huh.
go and be great
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
on your own. I just feel like that's
It's faith.
it's a testament
Mm-hmm.
to um, it's when you lift other people up,
Mm-hmm.
you just come up naturally. Like my cup stays in the overflow,
Mm-hmm.
and just in every way,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's because God gives seed to the sower.
Right.
So if I keep sowing, therefore
Mm-hmm.
seed just keeps I just
Right.
keep getting seed. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean I believe that. I believe it because I lived it. I don't have
You
to believe it
absolutely have.
anymore.
And
I see it.
I have another example for you.
What is that?
I remember, and I can't remember what the piece of equipment was,
Oh,
but there was a chef that was I won't even necessarily say he was a mentor or anything like that, but anyway, there was a chef, and there was something that this guy was doing, and you were like, oh my god, he's making that, so it could be so much easier if he had this and that. And you didn't even have, again, this piece of equipment. And I think this thing may have been $300, $600, whatever it was, right?
Look, it was
And you
$600.
and you purchased this and you shipped it to this guy.
Yep.
And it was like, but that was you sowing your own seed
Yep.
into that
Yep.
into that person, and it did just something for him that, first of all, you created a bond with that, but you also created something in this guy where it took him to a different level of saying, someone like you,
Uh-huh.
you see me and you're investing in me. You
Right.
did what?
I thought I have nothing.
Right.
I was not really
because
in
you
business.
believe. Right.
I wasn't anything. Like he had a business
Mm-hmm.
where he was doing dinner parties. It was my first time kind of seeing,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, let me come, first of all, drive a couple
Yeah.
hours and work for
And
you
you've
for
done this
free.
on more than one occasion too.
Oh
so,
yeah. Let me come drive up there to you, work for you for free. Just like I'll come do your extra set of hands, whatever. I want to see what you're doing in these people's homes. This is
Mhm,
kind of
mhm.
where this came from. And so
Mhm.
I sewed. I did not have any of this stuff. I'm like, man,
Mhm.
you need a couple Cambros. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like you
Mhm.
need a couple, and yeah. So it's like $600. I didn't have nothing.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But I call it sewing up. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
He didn't need he could have bought them things probably 10 times over.
Uh-huh.
But I'm sowing into what I wanted for myself.
Mhm.
So I sowed a seed up
Mhm.
to him higher
Mhm.
than me, right?
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
and then I'll never forget the first year. It was probably 3 years
Mhm.
of, I don't know, I want to misspeak, but it may have been my fourth year in business or so,
Mhm.
like something like that. And because we talked every blue moon, and we talked numbers and stuff, and I told him, I hit 280. I'll never forget this. I said I
Mhm.
hit $289,000 this year. Like I'm almost to $300,000 a year.
Mhm.
This is before I had a team. It's just me still,
Uh-huh. Mhm.
right? And he said, "Well, damn." He said, "I've never made that much. That's the point at which I like surpassed his."
Uh-huh.
Because
Mhm.
we talked about numbers, so he was just like, "Wow, like that's amazing." I mean, it was nothing but love, but
Mhm.
it was just the fact that he was like, wow, like you have actually surpassed me. But that's what I sowed a seed for that.
Mhm. Mhm.
I sowed a seed for that,
Mhm.
and so then I that was the harvest that I reaped for that. I really like I've lived these things.
Mhm.
I've done the thing. I've seen the result. I've done the thing. I've seen the result. So
Mhm.
I'm talking about my faith and belief in God and all
Mhm.
these things. I'm not saying it out of theory. I'm not saying it because somebody told me that,
Right.
and because I sat in a building and heard it,
Mhm.
across from a pulpit.
Mhm.
I'm saying it because I done it.
Mhm.
I exercised it. I saw for myself.
Mhm.
I learned these things through experience.
Yes.
And so like we pray for stuff all the time. I was
Mhm.
talking to another chef about this the other day. But like when you actually are living in a place where you're constantly receiving the answers to
Mm-hmm.
things are coming full circle because guess what? It takes believing a long time sometimes. It
Mm-hmm.
takes exercising that faith a long time sometimes before you see
Preach, preacher.
the answer to it come back around, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you know what I'm saying? You can't just
Mm-hmm.
I prayed I prayed a few times, it didn't work.
Right.
Yeah, that's not how that works.
Right.
You know what I mean? We
Mm-hmm.
don't
Mm-hmm.
know when
Yeah.
this thing is
Mm-hmm.
gonna. But I've thankfully, thankfully, I have lived long enough and I have walked this faith walk long enough now.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
At this point, it's
Mm-hmm.
been about, I'd say, 18 years, 15
Mm-hmm.
years in business, but 18 years since I really started to understand how to use God's system.
Right.
Because it's a system.
Mm-hmm.
It's a system.
Mm-hmm.
He has a system.
Mm-hmm.
If you do this, then I'll do that.
Right.
If you do this, then I'll do that.
There it is.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, okay. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's really simple.
Mm-hmm.
Not easy.
Right. Right. Right.
Not
That's
easy.
what I was thinking.
Not easy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I talk about these things, it's not theory. This is lived experience. This is, it has been proven in my own life time and time and time again. So I cannot tell my story without it being a God story, because it is a God story.
It is.
And like a real God story.
Mm-hmm.
Not to discount anybody else's God story, but it's just it's not secondhand, thirdhand information, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I were to sit down and write out the things that God's told me, that's what the scribes of the Bible did, right? They heard from God and they wrote it down. Now that's what we read in Scripture. Well, God talks to me.
Yeah.
All the time, I write it down. We were talking about that. We were talking about that the other day. Like, write it down. I have a
write the vision and make it plain.
Write the vision and make it plain that he that sees it can run after it. That's why we do mission statement, vision statement, week 1 of my program. You have to know what the vision is, because it's not just for you. It is for you. It's your North Star. It's going to keep you in your lane, but it's also for those who will come after you, so that they can take your vision and run with it as well. There's a method to my madness. There's a reason why I take things in the order that I take them, there's no binge watching. You can't binge watch this podcast and become a 6-figure chef, and just get 6 figures at the end. You can't just binge watch my coaching program. It's not. That's not how that works. There's work to be done. Again, not easy, but it is simple. It's just steps.
Faith without works.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Do that. It's going to work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You do it. It's going to work. Do you know what I mean? Most people never see it through. It's just the way it is in any profession, in any part of the world, in anything. It's not just personal chefs, but 80% of people, live their lives as amateurs. Yeah, and they never go pro. They never go pro in anything.
Yeah, yeah. There's all sorts of reasons why, but like you keep saying, it's simple, but it's not easy.
Yeah,
and whether it's with your faith, faith is a thing that you have to get up and put on every day. Because in really the things that happen and the seeds that come down and all of these things that happen, it's truly in the journey. And it's not the destination, although you're setting your goal to get there, but you're learning all these things on the journey, on your way, and the connections that you make, the people that you have helped, that you have given these experiences, and how different that is. But, and I'm just sitting here thinking about all the things that we've spoken about today. And, the faith, the intention, again, the value, and just creating these things. And if there was, and I know we just talked about the staff and all that, but if there was one thing that you can give the folks today before we close this out, as to how to make how to become a 6-figure personal chef, what would be the one thing that you say they need to have?
You need to have a system and a plan to follow. You need to have a system and a plan to follow. You need to know what you're doing, what steps to take, and how to get there. Luckily for you, someone's been there and done it and has actually captured all these things to collapse time for you. And it's just the way it is. I'm not trying to, I mean, sell you on me, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just the case. If I had a mentor,
Mm-hmm.
I went and found someone 3 hours away to go drive and go and see what they were doing,
Mm-hmm.
so that I could learn faster, learn quicker. How can I do it better? That's just how my brain works.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if someone's already done it, honey, get up under them and figure it. And like
Yep.
I would say that for anybody um,
Mm-hmm.
in any field, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
want to be a barber, go get up under a barber. If you want to
Yep.
get a food truck, go work for free for somebody on a food
Mm-hmm.
truck so you can see if it's for you. Like whatever it is that you want to do. So, find someone who has the information so
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to start from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
You can figure out how to get in touch with me and how to find out everything about me and my courses, my coaching, my programs, my community, my newsletter down in the description of this video. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Do not forget to like it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to share with other people because sharing is caring. And I'll see you guys on the next episode of The Feast.